Javier Reyes of Animals as Leaders has written some beautiful riffs, both for Animals as Leaders and his solo project, Mestis. For those of you who are more interested in 8-string materials that are harmonically interesting, more chordal, and maybe use a little bit more finger picking for the right hand, then I definitely recommend checking his stuff out. The particular riff that we are looking at today comes from the Animals as Leaders song, Nephele. This song has been around for a little while from the album Joy of Motion, but it is still worth checking out to see how Javier uses kind of chordal language in this prog metal setting. A PDF of this riff is in the description down below. I'll make it the top link, and there's no credit card or anything required to download it, so feel free to grab that if you want to work on this song. And for those of you who are interested in the guitar profiles for this, then those are available for my Patreon subscribers. I'll link that down in the description as well. This riff isn't the most difficult to learn. There's no crazy techniques really going on. It's mostly just harmony and some finger picking, so it's really good if you want to work on those two things. But I'm still going to go through it slowly and give you my thoughts and kind of insights into what is going on during this riff, what chords are happening, and maybe a couple of spots that you might want to focus on when you're working on it. So with that, let's get into this riff and do a little bit of a breakdown. So firstly, we're going to start in C. And this chord voicing is a C major 7, but it is quite a tight chord voicing. So some of you might know this open, or this shape here, if you've done some of these 7th chord shapes, but this is just a closed position, meaning all the notes are within 1 octave. So we're going to hammer onto that 7. And by the end of this riff, we are now suggesting a C6 sound, which is the 1, 3, 5, and 6 if you're constructing the chord. So if we look at that sound, that is quite a common sound in jazz and a lot of kind of South American pop music. So we can see Javier's influences right away in this first measure. From here, we're going to slide up, do a little passing tone to a D major chord. It's a very similar kind of hammer-on sequence. The 3rd and 4th finger doing the hammer-ons here in both of these chords are going to be a little bit tricky to get accurate. So take it slow, take some time, and just make sure that you're hitting with the tips of your fingers and being very accurate. Okay, I also have my 1st finger barred for this section, as I think it's easier than trying to move your 1st finger as well as you're moving across these strings. Otherwise it would be something like... You can already see that's a lot more movement we have to deal with, so just holding that bar is going to help you out. After we finish this D major chord, we're going to be up in an E minor 7 shape. Now when Javier plays this in some videos or live, he doesn't necessarily fingerpick all of these notes, he kind of is just feeling the rhythm, and he might choose to avoid this 4th string. So he just kind of goes between string 3 and string 6. But we can also kind of hear in the recording there is that 4th string suggested. Now I'm not sure if he intended to hit that or not, but it is there sometimes, so you can choose to play that if you want. After we're done the E minor 7 shape, we go back to our D. This is kind of based on an open triad. If you don't know your open triads, you can check out one of my most recent videos about them to see how important they are and how they show up everywhere. These top notes are suggesting a D7. Alright, that's kind of like that sound, if you know your cowboy chords. And then we're going to move up to D sharp diminished. But instead of that, we're going to kind of foreshadow the next chord, the E minor, by playing the 3rd on top. So we can resolve down to the F sharp. And this is an E minor again. So far the harmony we've had, if we outline it, is just C major 7, D, E minor, D7, to D sharp diminished, and then back to E. Okay. From here we have this little walk up. We have this D over F sharp, which is, you know, a D chord in 1st inversion, and then we have this E and the G that we're barring on the 12th fret, and that's kind of suggesting 2 notes of a C chord. So, but we can also kind of just hear it as melodic embellishment as we head to G. resolve to our G, and then kind of do this little, again, melodic embellishment up to the third of the G. So with all of that information, we can really see that this riff or this song is in the key of E minor or G, depending on the passage. So this section here is in G. Starting on the 4, going up to the 5, up to the 6 minor, the E minor, back to the 5, walking up and hitting the E minor. So here we could say it's in E minor, and then we resolve up to G major. Of course, E minor and G major are relative minor and major keys, so it's kind of the same thing. Now we enter a distinctly E minor section. Okay, so we're doing this kind of classic E minor or minor sound where we are walking down in the bass from the root to the major 7 to the flat 7. And we're also even adding in this like minor 6 sound on top. And we resolve to G. It's kind of a nice way to do it. Do a little embellishment sliding up to arrive in a C major sound. Nice little hammer-ons to make it juicy. Back to our E minor. Back to G. Now here we're resolving to an F natural, which is quite interesting. So F natural here, and we're doing this suspended walk down. The F natural suggests that it is the 4 chord of C. So it's kind of setting us up to go back to C and recenter our attention and our kind of key center focus around C. And then from C, we'll repeat the whole process, moving up to E minor, and then up to G, and etc., etc. At the very end of this riff, after the second time, it continues into the song, playing a nice low E. We're in drop E tuning for this, just to suggest the E minor sound going forward. A couple of other little things you're going to want to work on separately probably is this squish little position up here when we resolve to that G. Trying to do these little hammer-ons and pull-offs around your other fingers. This is going to be especially tricky if you have fan frets, because the angle of the frets might force you to move your hand in a position that you normally don't have it. And then having to jump down with your pinky to lead into the next position. Because if you don't do that, and you just use your first finger, that's one position shift, and then you're going to have to jump anyway to get to the next position. So we might as well just jump further, but only once. The other thing I'm going to mention here is this shape here is a little bit stretchy. And if you land a little too hard, or you have to pull and yank your hand back to get that stretch, like if you didn't kind of land that position shift well, you're going to pull this third string out of tune pretty easily. Right, you're going to get that sharp sound. So be careful with that and try to relax the arm. And when you land, you're going to make sure you push straight down and even a little bit forward to compensate on the tendency of pulling back. So push that finger down and maybe a little bit toward the fret to make sure everything stays nice and in tune. And there we go. Those are the things I would look out for. Otherwise, this riff is pretty straightforward. It's just going to take some time to get used to the chord shapes and get comfortable with all the position shifts. So that's about it for this riff today. Now I'm curious if you've learned any of Javier's other stuff in the past and you've really enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments down below so other people can go and check it out. And also let me know if there are any other riffs that you've had a hard time learning by him, and hopefully I'll be able to get to it in a future video. So make sure to check out all the links in the description for future resources, and until the next one, I hope you have a great day wherever you are in the world, and of course, as always, happy practicing.